I just stepped off a 16-hour flight from Mumbai to New York. And given the current news storm that directly impacts your money, I immediately rushed to Wall Street and filmed this. I'm sure by now you all know that President Trump has been found guilty of multiple felony counts. And I'm not a big supporter of the way Trump ran his presidency. Heck, I'm a Puerto Rican. I can't even vote for a president. Therefore, in my unbiased, no dog in this fight opinion, I believe that the legal basis for these charges and the evidence against Trump are as thin and flimsy as the inflation riddled dollar bill. And I believe that no other citizen would have been prosecuted on these charges unless the deep state and the ruling political party wanted that citizen out of the way like they wanted Trump out of the way. It's actually report that America has devolved to a system where politics trumps justice. Well, I guess that's better than what's going on in our southern neighbor, Mexico, where 30 plus political candidates have been murdered during the current Mexican election cycle. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, from where I just arrived, India has completed the greatest exercise of democracy known to humanity and sent 1.4 billion people to the polls on a nationwide election. That process ran smoothly with massive voter turnout, no violence, and best of all, India has an unhackable voter electronic voting system and ID verification system. So, what are the results of the Indian election have to do with your money here in America? First of all, your money is invested in your 401k mutual funds and index funds. And those funds, those instruments have significant exposure to the Indian economy. Unfortunately, there have been some irresponsible, politically motivated media reporting over here in America that has been reporting that Prime Minister Modi is going to lose the election. And that has scared off your fund managers, and they've been selling at a discount their position in the Indian markets. And those positions have been a windfall for local buyers in the Indian markets who bought it cheap because the exit polls are released. Prime Minister Modi is expected to have a landslide victory and is expected to secure an even greater majority of the parliament than last time. The Indian stock market is going to open, and it's going to be a major rally. And thanks to the bad media reports, your investments have taken an unnecessary hit. Your fund managers never should have sold. Personally, I'm actually super excited about Modi's re-election because I have long-term direct investments in India. And given these election results, I wish I had a lot more. Here's why. Let's look at the numbers. India's recent GDP numbers blew past expectations at 8.2%. And I believe that next year, now that Modi's won re-election, they will exceed 10%. And with consumer inflation, India sitting at 4.8%, India is actually seeing an inflation-adjusted growth of 3.4%. Let's put that in perspective. This is 1.4 billion people, more than the population of the United States, Canada, Mexico, and EU combined, moving forward really fast. In contrast, here in America, we're seeing inflation of 2.8% and GDP at 1.3%. So actually, inflation adjusted, we have a negative growth of 1.5%. And that is why most Americans, although they may be employed, feel like that life is getting tougher and the standard of living is falling. So what can America learn from Prime Minister Modi? First, let's look at the numbers. India's debt to GDP ratio is 87%, while America's 123%. And 68%, that's about two-thirds of India's debt is in rupee denominated, while the rest, one-third, is in dollar-denominated infrastructure development loans. So therefore, America has a huge advantage over India because 100% of America's debt is in its own currency, is in dollars. And not only that, but America controls 66% of the global trade because that's done in dollars. So what the heck? The big picture numbers for India doesn't look that great. How is Prime Minister Modi delivering this economic miracle? Well, the difference is that India's fiscal deficit is rapidly narrowing because primarily the debt has been used for sensible investments. And these investments have a higher rate of return than the interest rate that India is paying on the debt. And so that's just common sense money management. You want to make more than you spend. The lesson here is simple. Live within your means, whether it's your household or the entire country. For example, does it make much sense for an American to borrow at 7% to buy a house right now? Well, this year, home prices are on track to go up by 6%. So if you bought a house at the beginning of the year, the net effective rate you paid was only 1%. That is way better than renting, where you're not getting tax deductions and 100% of your rent is thrown to the landlord where you're making his mortgage payment. However, keep in mind, there's no guarantee that real estate prices will continue to go up, and no one can predict which way home prices go. And this is not investment advice. And also remember that Angel AI is here for all your home finance needs. And I'm off to enjoy this warm, sunny day in beautiful New York. See you later, my friends.
Nothing is beyond reach. Angel AI. AI you can bank on.